Okay, so I'm gonna try to keep this review a little bit shorter because I don't think people will really enjoy me talking about a single movie for 22 minutes. So hopefully I'll keep this as condensed as possible. So Warfare was a movie that I watched yesterday. It was about a group of Navy SEALs in the middle of Iraq right after a battle, as they are basically trapped in this home and they have to try to survive and escape. What's really interesting about this movie is that it's filmed in real time, so the 90 minutes that it took for this movie to end is the 90 minutes it took in real life for the events to happen. So this movie prides itself as it is marketed as being as realistic as possible, as it took testimony from the real Navy SEALs from this event, and it took their testimonies and made sure that everything was as accurate as possible. And so this movie really has this small sense of scale, as the entire movie takes place in this one building, and it is just the 90 minutes of from the point where things seem like nothing is going on to the very terrifying events that happen right after. Yeah, so the first thing I want to talk about is that the sound design in this movie is the most impressive, I should say first. It's the most impressive sound design I've ever heard, and also the most terrifying sound design I've ever heard. I know I talk about going to see movies in theaters a lot, and that you should always go to the theater to see a movie. But this, I think it is almost required. Like, you are doing a disservice if you don't see this in a theater, just because the sound design in this movie was by far the most, impactful feeling sound I've ever heard. Like, there's a moment when there's a dog barking, and I almost turned my head because it sounded like there was literally a dog in the theater behind me. And then once, like, later on in the movie, when there's shots fired from like machine guns, it doesn't sound like what you think a machine gun would sound like in a movie. It just has like this um like pulse to each round that's fired. And when there's a couple scenes where a bomb goes off, and like you are almost concussed, just in the same way as the soldiers experience it. Like, no. Oh, and even there's a couple scenes where there's a show of force, and when the jet flies through the city, it feels like everything is happening right there. It I feel really bad because no amount of words can describe just how impressive the sound design in this movie was. It really elevates the sense of horror of the situation that's going on. And I feel like if this movie doesn't win an win an award for best sound design in a movie this year, I think there is something wrong with Hollywood, because seriously, it was absolutely terrifying. You could just you feel every single impact. You feel the bullets whizzing around you. You feel the explosions and the shots in your chest. Like, absolutely 10 out of 10 sound design. This is the main reason why this movie was so good and terrifying. Um yeah, and so the sound design was there. Also the acting in this movie was incredible, as we have essentially these group of soldiers who are in the beginning sitting in this house. And by the way, it's never really explained why they're there or what they're doing. Um, they're just kind of getting orders and following them, which I think elevates this sense of authenticity of serving in the military, as it's a lot of it is just waiting until things happen, and then things happen. Like, they go from 0 to 100 in instant. Yeah, so we have these group of soldiers just waiting, and you really feel a sense of camaraderie between them, especially in the opening scene. You really feel like this sense of companionship between each of the Navy SEALs, and it really helps you feel the emotions when things start going down. So we have these Navy SEALs. There's a sniper um, on the second roof, and he is just surveying. And you get these long takes of just the POV of looking through the city and observing the city and the city goers through the scope. And my gosh, there was just 90 minutes of just tension throughout this whole movie. Like the few opening scenes, like immediately it's just nothing but tension. And there's no music in this movie either. And so really when there's nothing going on and there's no sound and it's just quiet and you're just looking through the scope or you're just watching the streets or whatever, it is just absolutely pure tension. Um and this it was just quite incredible what they were able to achieve with such a limited like sense of direction almost. I don't know how to put it. Because like I said, you're stuck in this house with the soldiers and you almost have no idea what's going on. And you're just sitting there waiting for things to happen until things happen. And then you wish you were never there. This is almost as much of a horror movie as it is a war movie. And so there's a thing that happens about halfway through. And when that happens, you feel the shock and the terror and just like the shell shock. As it's like, okay, I'm just gonna say it. So minor spoiler warning. So there's a part where a bomb goes off, and basically it's the first like right at like when that happens, you see like the POVs of everyone that was around it, and there's like this concussed sound effect, and it's like the like this muffled sound effect. And what going back to the sound design, what was really interesting is that when you switch from POVs, you this the muffled ringing is different for each character, as like different characters were different distances away from the bomb. And like I said, you just feel this sense of terror and just like shock. And when the and the once the first soldier comes to the realization of what happens, my God, you like it was so terrifying. Just and you feel this sense. I keep losing using the same word, but this movie was absolutely incredible and it was terrifying. The the action, the what limited action there was felt real. The acting, I mean, you feel just the pain everybody is going through. And the ending of this movie in particular, which I won't get into like too much spoilers, but it really highlights the theme of that there's no winners in war. So when the final shot of this movie, when a certain group of people become visible, you realize that everything that's been going on in this movie was for nothing, and just really highlights the sense of terror of war. Um, and I want to say this one more time: the actors were obviously incredible. You, I don't want to keep reiterating myself, but they were able to convey every feeling you feel in a terrible war situation like they were put in. And yeah, so this movie was just 90 minutes of pure, unfiltered, raw horror of being a soldier fighting a war in a country that does not like you. Um, yeah, so like what I would recommend this movie. You pretty much have to experience this movie in a theater. I know I say that for every movie, but the sound design is so incredibly important to the feelings you feel in this movie. It would be such a shame to miss just how impactful, unless you have like a home theater. or like a home theater sound system or whatever. But I'm assuming not everybody does. So please go watch this movie in a theater. This is definitely not a movie where you want to watch again. I mean, this is kind of like a one and done, just how horrifying the events are here and everything that's portrayed. It's not a fun watch by all means, but it's still one of the best war movies I've seen, and I would definitely recommend to pay the money to see this in a theater and just know going in that this movie, obviously being a war film, is incredibly dark and very tragic. And yeah, this movie was great. It's kind of fun because, well, it's not war. The war is not fun, but it's kind of fun because we've had Sinners and Warfare come out on the same weekend, and both are incredibly good films. So yeah, there's definitely plenty to watch in theaters right now. So I recommend you watch them both. And yeah, so that's my review of Warfare. And I hope you guys enjoyed my little talk about it. And hopefully you leave a comment down below about my review or what you thought about this movie as well. And I'll see you all later.